Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be building a 3S capable micro brushless quadcopter. For frame I decided to go with the Aurora 90, the Eachine Aurora 90 frame, just because it's well protected and I just want to enjoy my micro in the house, so without worrying about breaking props or just running or breaking something. So I thought this would be pretty good as a first micro to build actually. For ESC, this is a 12 amp. It's a 4-in-1 ESC. It seems good. It's D-shot ready. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. So maybe the capacitors are removed. I haven't checked it, but we'll check it later. For flight controller, I found this Mini F3 flight controller. There's no OSD. It's not OSD capable, but that's totally fine. I don't need OSD right now. For motors, I went with the DYS. The DYS 6500 kV. I didn't want to go too high in kV, just so we could stick a 3S on there without worrying about breaking the motors or burning out the motors. So yeah, for receiver I'm going to be using an Frsky receiver, but I still have not received them, so that'll probably get here on Monday. But I just decided to go ahead with the build now and then worry about the receiver later. So let me get everything ready, take a look at it, and then we get started. Alright guys, so the first step we're going to do is actually, I'm going to set up the motors, and then we're going to solder in the motors in here. And I'm actually going to do it nice clean, which is I'm just going to do all of them just go in straight, and then we can reverse them through BL. We could try that. And I don't think we should have desync issues here, but if we ever did, then we know the problem and we could just switch them. Now the orientation of the ESC, the motor orientation is not BetaFlight friendly, because as we all know, motor 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how BetaFlight sets it up, and here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can do one of two things. We can change it in BetaFlight, map the motors, or two, we could just switch two wires, which is wires 3 and 4. We just switch them on the flight controller. So where motor 3 would go, the wire motor 3, instead of putting it on 3, just put it on 4. And then same for wire that's going to motor 4, just put it on 3, motor 3 port on the flight controller, and you should be good to go. Now for the power, we're going to have to figure out a way to run power to the ESC and the flight controller. Now this is, you can put the power here and run power to each ESC, but since we're using a 4-in-1, it makes our life a little bit easier. So I don't know how I'm going to run power just yet, but we'll figure it out as we go. So right now let me just put in the motors and then figure out the best way to cut these wires, because these wires are very tiny and they seem very cheap. So good thing they added extra. Okay, so that's how you should do it, with your thumb. Yep, there we go. So I'm glad they added a little extra so you could test out how you're going to strip it instead of cutting it short at once and then you just get screwed basically, and we don't want that, and I don't want that. I only bought 4 motors. Usually I buy 5 motors just in case, but this time I bought 4, so we have to be very careful. Alright, let me just put the motors in, and then we solder that in, and then we just move our way up the stack. Alright guys, so we got the motors in. So what I'm going to do first, actually, I'm going to put solder on the pads, and that should make our life a lot easier. So let's start by doing that. Okay. So I need a little bit more. There we go. Now we got all of them. Now let's start with the motors. Okay, so what I figured out with these motors from my turret, the motor wires, the best thing to do is actually, I don't even think a stripper would strip this. I think it'll just strip the wire. So you kind of like just pinch it and then pull, and it just comes right off. So you have long wire here, so I recommend you test your tools if you want to use a tool before actually cutting them to length, because if you cut them and if you cut them and then you try to do your method and it turns out that your method wasn't good, then you're gonna have problems. So we're gonna just start by ripping all these apart. Let me skip over that real quick and then I'll be right back. Alright, so let's begin with this one. So I stripped them apart from each other because right when you get here it just comes off anyway. So now what I'm thinking of doing, I don't know yet. I think I want to put a little zip tie here just to hold them right there, and then from there I cut the length I need. It's gonna be good. Now let's grab this guy. We're gonna hold him like this. Okay. I should hold them up closer. All right. There we go. We got our first wire in. Same process for the next ones. Let me cut them to length and I'll be right back. Alright, we stripped them and we put a little solder on them, so let's see. It's gonna be fine, but let's just cut a little bit more off of this here. Now I have the solder station going at 360. 350 is more than enough, but I just left it on 360 because it was on 360. Okay, it's a little bit difficult like this. So we just contaminated one of the capacitors and we had to clean it off. So let's redo that again. Okay. That's good. And always double check your wires if they're in order, but it really doesn't matter if we're gonna switch it from reverse it in BL Heli. So okay, so that's how we're gonna do it. I want to fix this one again now. Not even holding the wire. Okay. That's good. Now let's see if we get a zip tie. Will these go into place? Yeah, these will be just fine. They'll come in there very beautiful. Not a lot of pressure on them, which is perfect. Alright, let me finish the rest of the motors and then we'll come back. Alright guys, so we have the motors all soldered in now. Now, the next step is to take a look at the flight controller. Now, here's the battery input, here's the ground, and here's the positive. Now, this comes where each ESC has its negative and positive in signal. So we're not going to be using this because we have the ESC down here. So all we're going to do is just grabbing each signal wire from one of these and then just putting them in the correct pad, which is the middle pad. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4 right there. And here we get these satellites. Now what I did is there's a big Pico connector thingy here. I completely ripped it off. But if you rip it off, just be careful. I started crunching it, like just crushing it very nice and easy, because you have little diodes here and here. So you got to be very careful not to push one of those. And you have I think an LED. No, it's not an LED here. So yeah, just be careful when doing this. I didn't need it. I don't have a Spectrum satellite receiver, so and a lot of people I think don't. So there's another thing to note. Now we're going to be adding S-Bus, and here you have S-Bus and CPPM. What you have to do is you have to bridge two of these. Now the right two is S-Bus if you want to enable S-Bus, because this receiver is going to go here on these 3 pins. And if you want to enable S-Bus, you do these 2 pins, and if you want to enable CPPM, which you would have to bridge these 2. So we're going to be bridging these 2 right here. And then here we would have the ground, 5 volt, and the signal from the receiver. So yeah. And then if we wanted to add a buzzer, the buzzer would go right here. And if you wanted to add LEDs, they would go right here. Sorry, transponder or LED, so it works, same thing. VTX, now I'm trying to with LC filter built in, so this is to the VTX, but I don't know how many volts it's bringing out, so I think I'm gonna have to use a multimeter. I hope it's not a direct connection from the battery, because that'll just burn the all-in-one camera we're going to be using. We're going to be using the Eachine Tx01 or Tx02, I don't know yet, but we're going to have to check the VTX here. So that's basically it right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these into here where the battery goes, or I might just run them on one pad, which is positive and negative since they're all connected, and then just run JST power here. Oh, this is a male, we need a female. So I don't have any XT30 connectors, so I'm just gonna stick with the JST, plus my battery comes in the JST plug, so I'm just gonna stick to that. So in theory, we can use any of these positive and negative terminals for the ESCs because they're all connected together with the battery here. So if we did some continuity check with the multimeter, you'll see them, they're all connected. So I think I'm just going to run the battery JST connector from these 2 pads, positive and negative, to run this wire out. And I'm going to bring this one, and I'm just going to stick it in where the battery goes right there. Since they're all going to be connected, I think it'll make much cleaner. It'll make it cleaner. So let's just do that now, actually. So the first step, I'm going to begin by putting solder on the pads actually first. Let's do that now. So this is the negative right here, and this is where I'm going to put the JST connector that's going to go, that's where the battery is going to connect. So I don't want to burn that standoff. Okay. And this is the positive for it. This is where the battery is going to connect. Here we're going to bring, through these holes, we're going to bring these 2 wires from the ESC, so we don't need them. Now we have to do the middle wires here, the middle pads right here. These are going to be for the signal, the ESC signals. So, and there we go. And there we go. Here we're done. So, and let's bridge S-Bus. So S-Bus is going to be the 2 on the side, on the right side. Now this is going to be very difficult, so be careful when you're doing it, because they put a capacitor right next to you. Right freaking next to you. Unbelievable. Let's take a look what we did here. So we're gonna have the battery. Here's the negative, and sorry. Here's the ground, and here's the positive. This is for the ESC. So I'm gonna run the JST connector from these 2 right here, and I'm gonna put the ESC into the battery terminals here, because they're all connected, like I said before. And then this middle one is for ESC1. This is for ESC2, a motor. or signal, sorry. Signal 1, signal 2, signal 3, and signal 4. And these will be these wires right here. So, yeah. So, the next step is to... Alright guys, so now I've cut the ESC power into length, and we're going to add a little solder to the wire, because I'll show you what I'm going to do now with these. I was thinking of making them a bit, I was going to use thinner gauge wire, but I don't feel like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this apart. So we have the square is the ground and the circle is the positive. So let's get the flight controller and let's put it in. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. And perfect. Nope. Oh yeah. Alright, so it's going to be like this. Yeah, that shouldn't hit the propeller. The propeller should be out of the way. So yeah, let's solder this in place, but first let's grab some nylon nuts and just hold the FC in place. Alright, so we got that in. And now I use the nylon nuts to hold the flight controller in place. Now let's get the solder. You gotta be very careful soldering here. Very careful. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit it like this. Okay. What I'm going to do after this is file it down a bit, maybe. I don't know yet. Let's see if we got any shorts now. So let's remove this guy here. Okay, let's take a look at it. And that looks pretty darn good. Well, I think that capacitor is touching there, but what we could do is we could just do a little bit like this. Just hit it with a line. I think we should be good like this now. So yeah, like I said before, just be careful. So now we got the ESC in place. That's good. Now we're gonna run the power, the JST connector. So let me grab one real quick. All right, so change of plan. We're gonna solder the ESC signal wires. Now this is ground. The black one is ground, so we're just gonna leave that for last. Maybe we won't even ground it. So taking a look at it, the one next to ground would be motor 1, which is the screen one. So motor 1 would be right here since the arrow is pointing up. So motor 1 is right there. So signal 1 is going to go right here. Alright, let's cut that off. Alright guys, the camera kind of died when I did this, and I just set it up, so we'll just do the next wire. So the next one is motor 2, which is the yellow. So yellow is motor 2, which has to go all the way there. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually route it through the bottom. Alright, so here's motor 2. 2 is right there. Let's leave a little extra slack, but we don't want too much where the propellers will take it off. So right there I think is good. So let's cut that. And we're going to strip it the same way as the we did with the motors. So that's good. Now, where's motor 2? Motor 2 is right here. Alrighty. So, right there. And I think we should add a little solder to the wire. It just makes things a lot easier, because you don't want it to just split and then... I don't know if you guys could hear that. That's thunder. I might lose electricity any moment. Alright, there's motor 2. Now, like I told you, motor 3 and 4, we are going to have to reverse. So this is motor, so the blue is motor 3 on the ESC, and motor 3 is going to be motor 4 on the flight controller. So this one is going to go right here, no, whoop, right there. So let's take that up there. There we go. Come on. Come on, little guy. There we go. Same thing, about right here is good. Yep. Perfect. And don't pull too hard. Be careful, because these, I mean, they rip very easy. And don't forget, companies want to make money, so they might leave here and there one loose for you, just so you can just go out and buy another ESC. I give myself 30 minutes, and I think I'm gonna lose power in the house because of the thunderstorm now. Let's just solder these guys in now, hopefully, and then we'll see what we're gonna do later. All right. Now, last but not least, motor 3, which is motor 4 on the ESC, which is actually motor 3 on the flight controller. So let's leave a little extra right there. Is good. All right, this guy now. So and guys, if you have any suggestions, just let me know. I'll do my best to make it, you know, helpful, entertaining, and more useful for you. So I'm all ears if you guys have any suggestions on how I can improve anything that I'm doing here, and to make things easier for you. All right, we're gonna have to trim some of this off here. All right, there we go. Okay, that's not good. And I can't stress it enough, keep cleaning the tip of the soldering iron, or you will just have problems you don't want at all. There we go. Wow, it's looking very nice. So that's looking good. We finished that. Now what do we need to do? We need to add a receiver. We need to take power to the all-in-one camera. So let's take this off and see how much space we have to work with. That's very good. Look at that. We can move things freely without worrying about anything. Oh my god, I thought I ripped it. That scared me. So like I was saying, it's good now. We're able to move it freely without having to put any extra stress on any wire and have it rip off and just ruin our day basically. Alright, now the next step, what I'm going to do is the battery. So we're going to use JST, and like I said before, well, we're going to run it off of the ESC power pads on this board, since we're not going to be using them. So how much is enough? How much wire? I don't know, maybe right here is good. Let's just do this. Okay, these are not silicone, so it's pretty hard. All right. Okie dokie. So, come on, focus. Doesn't matter. All right. So we're gonna run, ground is here, and then the inner ones are positive. So this is positive, and then this is ground, and this is ground, and same thing here. The outer ones are ground, and the inner ones are positive, and then the middle ones are the signal. So let's put this back on, just so you can just grab it a little bit. Alright, so let's just put some solder on the battery wires. I'm gonna have to trim some of this off. I don't know if you guys can see that we got a little wire that's running loose, which is not good at all. Alright, so we got these guys. So we said ground is on the outer side, so let's start with the easy. So it's right there. Okay, that's perfect. And I think I'm gonna add a bit more solder to this pad. Okay, good. All right. So that is great. Great. And we have this ground right here for the ESC. So let's just ground it right there. Let's keep some extra slack. Keep everything moving freely. Maybe that's too much. It's too much right there. Let's add a little solder on that pad right there. Good. So let's just take a look at it now, what we did here. So we ran motor 1 in the middle right there, which is green. Green was motor 1 for us. So green goes to motor 1 right there. The yellow was motor 2, which is right there now. It seems like it's just a bit, I need to pull a little bit more on it just so it doesn't feel so, I mean it's fine. There's enough slack. And here's motor 3 right there. And here's motor 4. And the ESC power, the power to the ESC, since there's 2 wires that was coming up from the 4 and 1 ESC, I put them right there. And since all the ESC pads are basically connected directly to these 2 right here, I ran the battery from this ESC pad. It doesn't matter, you could do it from anyone. And then the signal ground for the ESC, you don't have to put it, but it's recommended you do, and I did it anyways. I just put it on this ground since ground is just all connected together really. So next we will have is the receiver will go here. I don't know, I forgot the there we go. The bottom one is ground for the receiver, and this is power, and this is signal, and we bridged S-bus right here, so that's good right there. What is there left? It's just gonna be, we're just gonna run 2 wires right now from here, and then later on worry about how we're gonna connect it to the camera. So let me get 2 wires prepared. I'm gonna solder them in right now, and then I'll come back and then we'll see what's up. Alright guys, so now we're gonna be doing the camera. So the camera goes right there, ground and VTX positive. So let's remove this. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to put 2 silicone wires, because if we put this here, I don't have enough, you know, so if I ever needed to remove it, then I'm just basically screwed, and I don't want that. So I'm going to get 2 thin silicone wires here. About maybe this much is good. So I was going to use some kind of connector mechanism, but then decided not to because it'll add even more weight. So let's just do it like this. Alright, so here we go. Let me strip them real quick. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have them, I'm going to solder them on the bottom here. So the wire is going to stick in through here. Oh, well, if it's going to allow us, really. Let's see. Oh no, it'll be very difficult. So we're just going to solder it on the top. So let's just, let's see how we're going to do this. Here's the positive. Okay, so positive is this one. Man, that capacitor's position is just unbelievably shitty. Like, super shitty. It's just like, it's just screaming. Rip me out or desolder me. Alright, there we go. So hopefully this stays in while we put it in. And it stayed in, that's good. Problem is this, we'll have to ride it through the back, that's fine. Alright, let's get one of these bad boys in to hold it in place. Alright, there's the positive right there, so let it focus. And let's do this. Alright. So there's the guy we need to solder, and he's leaning this way. So let's just do a little tap here. There we go. That's positive. Now let's do the same thing to the ground. Where's the ground wire? There it is. So let's put it in. Grab the nylon nut. Okay, it's holding. Same thing. Let's hold the solder in that area and then just come in nice and gentle. Melt. Come on. And that should be good. Let's just take a look at it. So seems good. Yeah, it's good enough. So let's remove this guy now. Now since I don't have my receivers, they still have not come yet. They'll be here on Monday. So what I'm gonna do actually now is I'm gonna run just 3 wires out of here, and we should be basically done here, really. And then those 3 wires, I'll connect them to the receiver. Now, if you thought ahead, and I recommend you do this, when you cut your ESC wires, these are very nice little silicone wires. Try to keep these. Now I got lucky here, and I got 2 of them left, so I'm going to use these 2 right now, and I'm going to look for another one. So when I get the receiver, I could just use these, plus they're very light. I mean, they're practically very light. So I'm going to use black. So one of them is going to be negative, one of them is going to be positive, and one of black is going to be the signal here, because these are the only ones that I'm left with, really. So let's do that now then. So it's going to be ground, 5 volt, and signal. So ground, 5 volts, signal. Alright guys, so let's start by preparing the pads. We just need these 3. So don't put too much because it'll just fall through. So we said this will be the positive. Positive was the second one. So let's cut some of this off. But there is good. ground. And the little trick here is when you heat up the pad, try to stick the wire in the hole. You know, it's a bit tricky, but you can use the solder tip here to guide it through. There we go. Alrighty. I'm pulling it too early before it dries. There we go. Now we have wires for our receiver when it gets here, and we're gonna get our camera now. We're gonna cut this little connector thingy off, and I should not have stuck the camera in just yet. Anyways, so let's cut this at the very end here. All right. Alright guys, so we got the camera soldered in and heat shrunk here, and now we're just going to put it all together and see how it looks, and connect the battery, connect it to BetaFlight, see if everything is working as planned. So let me just put it together real quick and we'll take it from there. Okay, so here's the end result before adding the receiver. Yeah, I'm gonna take this guy out of here. So everything fits just fine. It's perfect. Now I see a little couple stress marks right where the screws are, but I think it should hold up fine. Maybe a super hard crash, you're gonna start seeing things break on here, but other than that, it's just I love it. It's my first micro, and I can't wait to try it. So all we have to do is just add the receiver on here and we should be good to go. So just wait for the upcoming video where I get my receivers, I'll plug it in, and we go through the whole BetaFlight configuration and possibly even tuning. Hopefully we don't have to tune anything really, just little here and there. So I soft mounted the flight controller, and look, you're just left with so much room in here, so that's very good. You could easily put your receiver right there and you won't have a problem. So that's very good. The propellers are totally fine, nothing is scratching, nothing is hitting. I thought it would, to be honest, but actually it's pretty good in that area. So let's just check out the final weight of this. So let's see. Alright, this is without a receiver and propellers. So it's 67 grams. Let's add the propellers. So it's 70 grams with propellers, and the receiver is probably like, what, 3 grams if you were using the Frsky XM. You could weigh your own receiver and you'll know. And here's a 3S 450 milliamp battery. So let's stick that on there. So 109 grams is our end weight here. So I think it's very good. We won't know until we try it out. So wait for that, guys. It'll be out very soon. And that's going to conclude it for this video, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and if it helped someone out there, and if you guys have any questions or any suggestions, just feel free to ask. And that's going to conclude it for this video, guys. So please don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you guys. Take care. See you next time.